This car is now mine and my girlfriend's. Despite getting caught cheating, Lucas talks confidently. I can't help but be thoroughly amazed by his attitude. Why is he so cheerful? Why does he act so superior towards me? I even wondered if he and I see the world completely differently. But if he's willing to take this car, I couldn't be happier. The monthly loan is $6,000, but he'll figure something out. Alright then, I hope $6,000 for the loan will be okay. When I accepted Lucas' request and nodded, he started to look delighted with a smile I had never seen him wear. My name is Jessica Thompson. I'm 38 years old and work at a design firm. I don't really have any worries in my job or personal life and live each day happily. That's what I thought, but sometimes I'm struck by a certain thought. I occasionally wonder when I'll be able to get married. Here I am, almost 40, and not only am I not married, I don't even have a boyfriend. My experiences with romance are also few. Before I knew it, all my friends had tied the knot, and I felt like the odd one out, left behind on my own. There were times I thought maybe I should just give up on the idea of marriage, but seeing how happy my friends seemed made me dream of it, too. The day that turned my life around was just an ordinary evening after work. I was feeling good and decided to grab a drink by myself at a bar. I walked into one that caught my eye and ordered some drinks and appetizers. As I waited and was looking at my phone, I noticed a guy coming over to me. "Hey there, are you on your own?" The man who came up and peered into my face, this was the moment I met Lucas, who would later become my husband. Yes, I'm by myself." "Really? Then let's have a drink together. How about it?" Lucas didn't wait for my reply, he just sat down and started tilting his glass. "Hey. Come on, it'll be fun. Just for a little while." I figured a little while couldn't hurt, so I let Lucas join me. But I really wasn't in the mood to talk to anyone that day. When I looked down, Lucas started talking on his own. Eventually, I got swept up in the conversation, and we exchanged numbers before parting ways. I thought that would be the end of our interaction, but 2 months after our first meeting, Lucas and I began seeing each other often. During our exchanges, I found myself gradually drawn to Lucas. Talking to him, my feelings would gradually become serene. I honestly wanted to talk more. When he said he wanted to see me, I felt genuinely happy. I never expected to develop such emotions, and I can't help but be surprised. 6 months after we first met, Lucas and I became a couple. 3 years of dating later, we got married. I never imagined I could get married, and when Lucas proposed, it felt like a dream. But I realized after it all ended that this was the pinnacle of happiness. After marriage, Lucas changed drastically. He became so different it made me wonder if his personality during our dating period was just a facade. It was probably about a month after we started living together. Suddenly, Lucas became distant. Whether he would be late coming home, or what he wanted for dinner. I tried to start various conversations, but all I got from Lucas were indifferent responses like, "Yeah, Hey, what's been going on with you lately? You seem down." "Just leave me alone. It's none of your business, okay?" I wonder if he's come to dislike me. Watching Lucas' attitude worsen day by day, my anxiety grew. Yet, I was still happy that he came home. He would still eat the dinner I made, and we still shared a bedroom. Somewhere in my mind, I believed he still had feelings for me. His current indifference and harsh demeanor could just be because he's tired. I had those feelings. However, a month into our misaligned lives, Lucas started coming home late more often, citing overtime and drinks out, and I found myself spending many nights alone at home. During the day, I'm not alone because of work, but coming home to an empty house is indescribably empty. Just me again tonight. Then a message from Lucas popped up. It was him saying he had to work late again tonight. I appreciate that he still sends messages, but I can't help but worry about the increase in overtime and nights out since we got married. Maybe I did something wrong. Could it be that he's disillusioned and deliberately not coming home? I received a message from Lucas and placed my shopping bags down gently. Before I knew it, Lucas had stopped coming home every day. The slightly pricier rental we got for our new life together. Since Lucas stopped coming home, it has become a place where I spend time alone in loneliness. We were supposed to be married, so why has it come to this? As I thought about Lucas, I continued to eat my dinner alone. When Lucas did occasionally come home, he was always in a bad mood. "You'll eat dinner, right? I'm going to make it now." As usual, I prepared dinner and served it to Lucas. But after one bite of the side dish, he stopped eating. "What's wrong? Not hungry? I've been meaning to say this, but the food you make is really awful." I was frozen by his words, something I had never heard before. Until now, he had always said my cooking was delicious and had seconds. There were even times on our anniversaries when he said he preferred my home cooking over going to a fancy restaurant or inn. And yet, why suddenly? I'm sorry. I didn't know it was bad. I'll take it away." "Don't touch me!" Lucas glared at me sharply and started eating again. But he never looked pleased with the taste, always frowning. He started to complain about the cleaning and laundry I did as well. If the coffee cups weren't aligned perfectly or if a picture on the wall was tilted. Even a single hair on the floor would result in a complaint. Considering I work too, a few oversights should be understandable. I even began to wonder if it's normal for someone to fuss over such small details. Of course, I've repeatedly mentioned that I can't manage housework perfectly because of my job. However, Lucas was utterly uncompromising. It always ended with him yelling, "You just need to be quiet and do what I say." The stress just kept building up every time I interacted with Lucas. I felt such self-loathing, wondering if I really should have married him. All these swirling emotions even led me to consider divorce. But the fact that I managed to get married at this age and the hassle of divorce proceedings made it hard to take any action. I thought I just had to endure. Eventually, I found myself resigned to this way of thinking. But before we got married, I made a big purchase. It was a luxury car from a well-known brand. Of course, I couldn't pay for it all at once, so I'm on a loan. I'm not particularly into cars, but there was one model I've always dreamed of. Now as an adult, owning it makes me happy and motivates me at work. It's thanks to that I'm able to work hard. I drive it to the company, and it's a conversation starter with my car enthusiast colleagues. In the beginning, Lucas complimented the car. "Wow, that's amazing. Good on you for getting it," he'd say. But around the time his attitude began to change, he started taking my car without asking. I use my car for commuting and shopping, so it's a problem when it's taken without asking. I might have been more forgiving if Lucas didn't have a car of his own, but he does. Despite that, I dislike that my car is being used without my permission just because he prefers it. Because of this, I have to go out of my way to use the train for commuting, and I have to walk when I go shopping. Of course, I've talked to Lucas about this. "Hey, can you stop using my car without asking? I need it, too." "What's the big deal?" "It is a big deal for me. I don't care about your issues. You're managing to get to work by train, right? So, it's fine. I have reasons I need to use the car. Don't butt in. Even though you have your own car? Your car is better. Just let it be." Lucas never listened to me in the end, always cutting off the conversation. The train fares add up, and it's tough to walk from the station to home with a tired body after work. Shopping, which I used to manage once a week, has become more frequent since I can't carry heavy bags without the car, now every other day. I even thought about borrowing Lucas's car. I once asked, with little hope, if I could use it, but he said, "That car is mine. There's no way you can handle it. Don't joke too much, okay?" I thought to myself that one person doesn't need two cars, but I held back my words to avoid another outburst from him. Yet, that doesn't mean I can just use it as I please. Knowing his temperament, he would be furious if the car was parked even slightly off or if the seat and steering wheel were adjusted. That would be a hassle in its own right. If I were younger, I might have argued, but now, I just don't have the energy for it. Lucas continued his pattern of not coming home. He apparently doesn't drink because he drives, but I've noticed him coming home covered in unfamiliar perfume scents. Indeed, his behavior might suggest he's having an affair. I didn't start thinking this just recently, it's been a suspicion for months. I had a faint suspicion ever since Lucas's overtime and nights out began to increase. However, I had no concrete evidence, nor the funds to hire a private investigator. So, I turned a blind eye to Lucas's possible infidelity. Given his condescending attitude toward me, he probably doesn't think I'm aware of his cheating. He must think I'm naive and that I'll just comply with whatever he does, believing he can do anything he wants. The married life I had imagined was far different from this. I dreamed of a warm, kind relationship where we cared for each other, enjoying outings to tourist spots on weekends. I thought I could have that with Lucas, but it was impossible. I'll probably be stuck in this situation for life. With a sigh, I started to make dinner for one. But then one day, something happened that changed everything. It was on a day when I had to work late. I usually inform Lucas when I'm working overtime. I did so that day too, but finished earlier than expected and headed home. No reply from him, as usual. He probably wasn't coming home again today. As I trudged toward my house, I noticed something different. My car was there. Normally, my car would be taken by Lucas, leaving only his car parked alone. It was rare to see mine there. With that thought in mind, I was about to enter the house. But then I saw it. The car was slightly shaking. Perhaps I should have just gone inside the house, but curiosity got the better of me, and I approached the car. I could hear voices from inside. Lucas's voice and a woman's. I edged closer to the car to make sure I could hear the conversation. "Do you love me, Claire?" "Yes, I do." The woman's name seemed to be Claire. As I listened, I heard the kind of conversation I had suspected but wished not to hear. "I really want to get a divorce already. I want to marry you, Claire. I'm so happy. How have things been with your wife lately?" "We don't talk at all. I don't want to. I keep thinking, why did I even marry her? I'm always with you, Claire, so there's no way we could have a proper conversation, right?" "That makes sense." I realized I was being mocked. A sharp pain in my chest and an indescribable feeling overcame me. I didn't want to hear any more. I quietly stood up to go inside the house. But at that moment, my bag accidentally hit the car. I knew it was bad, but it was too late. Lucas poked his head out from the driver's seat and looked right at me.
"Hey! You! Why are you here?"
Well,
Did your wife hear that? Oh, this is the worst."
Lucas got out of the car and started to confront me.
"You said you were working late today, right? Why are you back this early? When you say overtime, it's usually much later, isn't it? Did you lie to me?" "I didn't lie. It really was overtime. But that aside, when I tell you I'm working late, is this what you usually do?"
I thought Lucas would falter at my accusation, but having been seen with Claire, it seemed he had nothing left to lose.
"Yeah. So what if I am? Is there a problem?" "Problem? We're married. What you're doing is cheating. And using my car to drive another woman around. So what if I am? I'm driving it now."
Lucas showed no remorse. And then, he said something unbelievable.
"This car is mine and Claire's from now on."
I was so dumbfounded, I couldn't respond. My words, even though it's my car, must have prompted his audacious claim. But at that moment, something in me collapsed. If you're willing to take the car, I'm more than happy to hand it over. Of course, the loan comes with it.
"All right, but are you sure about the $6,000 loan?"
"Yes, I have a $6,000 monthly car loan." It was a bit of a stretch, but I figured I could manage it with my current income. It's ridiculous for me to pay for a car loan that Lucas is using.
"But you'll have to pay the loan too." "What? Why should I? You keep paying it. Why don't you want to pay? Can't you? With your own car and rent, you might not be able to afford it, can you?"
My taunting seemed to enrage Lucas even more.
"What do you mean I can't pay it?" "Fine, I'll pay it."
He must be assuming it's an amount I can afford. Later on, I transferred the loan and ownership of the car to Lucas. When the paperwork was being done, he didn't seem shocked at all by the details of the loan. Whether Lucas could actually pay the $6,000 or hadn't read the documents properly. He appeared to be solely focused on finishing the procedures quickly, eager to get them over with. After the transfer was complete, I moved on to the divorce proceedings. This time, due to the infidelity, I hired a lawyer and went for a settlement divorce. I submitted the dashcam footage from the day I discovered the affair to the lawyer and filed for divorce and alimony. The lawyer happily took on my case, and after weeks of preparation, the day to confront Lucas finally arrived. Lucas was visibly angry, and Claire sat beside him with a defiant look. I was told numerous times that hiring a lawyer was excessive, but I didn't think so at all. As we proceeded, I found out how Lucas and Claire met and who she really was. Apparently, Claire is the daughter of an executive at the company where Lucas works. Claire also worked in the same company and department as Lucas, and they were acquainted. Of course, Lucas knew she was the executive's daughter when he pursued her. Lucas was in the wrong for initiating, but Claire was also to blame for engaging with him, knowing he was married. I demanded a divorce and alimony from Lucas, and alimony from Claire. Lucas, perhaps out of stubbornness, exclaimed, "Alimony. Divorce. Do whatever you like. I'll pay whatever alimony you want." However, Claire was adamant about not wanting to pay anything.
Why should I pay? It was Lucas who approached me first. But you knew he was married and still entered into a relationship with Lucas, right? Then you have to pay. Absolutely not. Are you okay with your parents and company finding out about this? I can send a letter of demand, you know? What? A letter of demand? Do whatever you want.
Claire might think I'm bluffing. Well, if she says to do whatever I want, I will take her at her word. I'll send the letter without hesitation. Since Lucas and I both wanted a divorce, it was finalized that day. Lucas agreed to pay alimony, so we proceeded with the dissolution. Of course, as I had declared, I later sent a letter of demand to Claire's company. As expected, she hadn't thought I would really send it, and I was informed by the lawyer that Claire had agreed to pay alimony too. After the divorce, I moved to a house near my company and continued to live a comfortable life. No need to consider anyone else. No need to think about the car loan. What a wonderful life this is. If I hadn't gotten married, could I have continued living like this? I sometimes wonder that and honestly feel a twinge of regret. Maybe because I can afford a more comfortable lifestyle, my colleagues have been telling me I look healthier. I've decided to live quietly on my alimony and my own earnings. I'm not getting married again. From now on, I'll live life for myself. That was my resolution. But about 3 months after the divorce, Lucas unexpectedly called me. What could he possibly want now? Reluctantly, I answered the phone.
Hello? It's not hello. What's going on? What's this red envelope about?
A red envelope? Perhaps a payment reminder?
Calm down. What do you want? What's this red envelope about? When I opened it, it says to pay for the car loan. Wait, you were paying $6,000 a month. I didn't know about this. You didn't know? I presented the amount when we transferred the loan and ownership. It's strange you didn't know. What? You thought you didn't have to check the amount because I was paying it? No way, I thought it'd be $6,000. Hey! Can't we change it back so you'll pay now?
He really is a man of convenience. After all, Lucas would be the one driving even if I paid. Besides, now that we're divorced, I shouldn't have to listen to Lucas.
It's not possible. Remember, you were the one who started saying the car was yours in the first place. Do you really think it's fair to ask me to pay for it now? Don't say that. Weren't we married? Even though we're divorced, we were in love, right? Can't you help me out when I'm in trouble?
In love? Help him out when he's in trouble? What is he talking about? I understand that we were in love because we were married. But I've been through a lot because of Lucas. And now he expects help just because he's in trouble? That's too convenient.
You know, it's far too convenient for you to live as you please and then come to me, a complete stranger since we're divorced, for help when you're in trouble. Now that a demand notice has arrived, you'd better figure out how to come up with the money and make the payment quickly. Figure out how? That's impossible. Don't start with that now. Even if it was in the heat of the moment, you were the one who said you'd pay for my car's loan, remember? Maybe it's time you learned to take responsibility for your own words. So that's that. Hey!
Lucas was causing a fuss on the other end of the phone, but I had nothing left to say to him. Without a second thought about his concerns, I just hung up. Afterwards, the phone rang about 10 times, but there was no way I was going to answer. I left my smartphone aside, and eventually, the ringing stopped and there were no more calls after that. Half a year later, I was still living comfortably on my own. Moving closer to my workplace made commuting blissfully easy. Having more personal time and finding a new hobby of going to art galleries added to my happiness. Then, on a leisurely day off, as I relaxed on the sofa, my phone rang. Looking at the caller ID, I saw Lucas's name. Why was he calling again? Hesitantly, I answered the phone to hear him start speaking in a tone that belied his previous bravado. Jessica. It's me. Lucas.
What's wrong?
It may seem like he's in a weakened state, but I can't afford to indulge him. I inquired about the matter with a tone that kept him at a distance. Alimony. I just can't pay it anymore. Please, give me a break.
Excuse me? Give you a break?
His choice of words irked me, but I was curious to hear what had happened. Apparently, he had been putting on a front, but after our divorce, he had to leave his job. The reason was an affair with Claire, a board member's daughter. It appears he was encouraged to resign voluntarily for disrupting the company's order. And now, Claire had dumped him too. He struggled to find a new job, barely getting by with temp work and part-time gigs. However, that kind of life did not last long. Now it seems he has sold both cars, moved out of the rental, and returned to his parents' home. With this, life should become a bit easier for him. But a few weeks after returning home, his mother's health deteriorated, and she needed care. Due to his father's old age, it seems that Shudo has no choice but to take care of his mother while also being chased by the demands of his job. And just because he sold the cars, it didn't mean he was free from car payments. The luxury car loan and the alimony to me. Lucas himself seemed quite overwhelmed.
Please, I'm begging you. Look, if it'll help, I'm even willing to get back together, all right? Wouldn't that make things easier for you too? What do you say? Where would I possibly find ease in that?
Without much thought, it was clear that getting back with Lucas now would mean taking on the burden of his parents' care, the car loan payments, and other living expenses. He'd likely quit his job and leave all the household responsibilities to me. You just want to dump all the housework on me and quit your job, I suppose. Living together was tough enough as it was. No one would willingly jump into an even more difficult situation.
I've said something like this before, but you really only think about yourself, don't you? You're probably thinking of reconciling with me, moving back into the house, and having fun yourself, right? It's not like that. Even if you say it's not like that, I can't believe you. Do you have any idea how much hardship you've caused me? Taking care of your parents might be tough, but getting forced out of your job? Being dumped by your girlfriend? All of that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't cheated, right?
Lucas fell silent. However, I kept pressing him further. I really wonder why I ever married someone like you. If I could meet my younger self, I'd be furious. I'd tell her, no matter what, do not marry Lucas, it won't make you happy. And the fact that you're still talking about getting back together now, it's kind of crazy. If you were really sorry, you wouldn't say things like that. So, just so you know, you'll be paying that alimony on time.
Please, I'm begging you. It must be humiliating to beg someone you once looked down upon, isn't it? No matter how much you plead, I will not listen to your requests. So, do not contact me ever again. Hey! Jessica!
I hung up the phone right after that. Following this, Lucas seemed to have given up, as he stopped contacting me altogether. No more calls, no emails. His desperation was clear in that last call, but the condescension in his tone made me think he still doesn't see his own faults, wondering why such misfortune has befallen him. Well, the alimony has continued to be deposited, so I guess he's managing somehow. Half a year after Lucas's last attempt to reach out, I continue to live my life comfortably on my own. I've continued with my newly found hobby of visiting art museums. As a result, my room is overflowing with art books and postcards purchased from the gift shops. Lately, I've been wanting to visit art museums abroad. There's a lot I think about when it comes to married life, and honestly, even if I were reborn, I doubt I'd want to get married. There's not a single thing about marriage that I think is good. Right now, I'm just grateful for this environment where I can comfortably live on my own.